war in Ukraine, according to the CEO of one of the world's largest fertilizer firms, will cause a shock to global food supply and prices. Yara International, which has operations in over 60 countries, imports a significant amount of key raw materials from Russia. Due to rising wholesale gas prices, fertilizer prices were already high. Svein Torhulsether, Yara's boss, has warned that the situation could worsen. "We were already in a terrible situation before the war. Now there's extra interruption to supply chains, and we're approaching the most vital portion of the season for the Northern Hemisphere, where a lot of fertilizer needs to move on, and that will almost certainly be disrupted." Russia and Ukraine are two of the world's largest agricultural and food producers. Russia also produces massive amounts of nutrients such as potash and phosphate, which are important elements in fertilizers that help plants and crops thrive. Fertilizers provide food to half of the world's population. And if they are withdrawn from the field for particular crops, the production will drop by half, Mr. Hulsether said. "For me, the question isn't if we'll enter a global food crisis. It's how big the crisis will be." After a rocket hit Yara's office in Kyiv, his company has already been impacted by the violence. The 11 members of the staff were uninjured. The sanctions on Russia haven't directly impacted the Norwegian company, but it is dealing with the consequences. Due to the shipping industry's upheaval, securing supplies has grown increasingly challenging. The Russian government encouraged its manufacturers to suspend fertilizer exports just hours after Mr. Hulsether talked to the BBC. He pointed out that Russia supplies around a quarter of the critical nutrients required in European food production. "At the same time, we're doing everything we can right now to obtain additional resources." However, due to the tight deadlines, it is constrained before the news broke, he stated. Farmers would face greater costs and reduced agricultural yields as a result of the decision, according to analysts. Food prices could rise much more as a result of this. Nutrients aren't the only thing to think about. The production of ammonia, a fundamental element in nitrogen fertilizers, necessitates a large volume of natural gas. For its European plants, Yara International relies on large amounts of Russian gas. Due to a surge in wholesale gas prices last year, it was obliged to temporarily halt output of nearly 40% of its capacity in Europe. Other producers have likewise reduced their output. When this was combined with increasing shipping charges, sanctions against Belarus, another key potash supplier, and unusual weather, fertilizer prices skyrocketed last year, adding to a spike in food prices. The firm says it is evaluating how to maintain supplies on a day-to-day basis and that it is too early to determine whether more shutdowns are in the works. It agrees that it has a very strong commitment to keep production going at a critical time. However, Yara's boss believes that the world's reliance on Russia for global food supply must be reduced in the long run. On the one side, we're attempting to maintain fertilizer supply to farmers in order to maintain agricultural production. At the same time, a forceful reaction is required. We condemn Russia's military invasion of Ukraine, therefore we're in a pickle, and it's a difficult one. Before the epidemic, climate change and rising populations had already added to the issues facing the global food supply system. The battle, according to the CEO of Yara International, is a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe, illustrating how sensitive the global food supply chain is now to shocks. He goes on to say that it will exacerbate food insecurity in impoverished countries. We must keep in mind that during the last 2 years, 500 million additional people have gone to bed hungry. So adding this on top of it is really concerning.